on a Sunday. Okay, shh, quiet. Okay, so adjust the controls on the audio mixer, bass and the treble, because when the REW's in the neutral kind of mode, it's got a bit of a roll off sort of thing, odd, weird. Don't know why it does that. Anyway, I'll compensate. And of course, it's picking up that's not picking up 50 hertz. Boom, that's on the other end. That's within the electronics somewhere. Could be on the computer. I filter it out. I just ignore it, even though I should try to tackle the problem, to address it with a filter, or it's with grounding. Anyway, but I don't hear it. It's on the other end. It's, you know, so it's okay. It's just going to adjust the frequency range here. Okay, so it's playing. It's idle. It's pretty soft. So I've got some pink noise ready. I'll turn the fader down. Fader display picks up there. So turn the fader up a little bit. That's the pink noise. Ideally that pink noise would be absolute smooth. Adjust it on the mixer so it won't pick up too much voice modulation. It should only be picking up sound that's coming from that screen channel. So there's still a bit of a roll off on the high frequencies. That could be partly, that could be adjusted easily with a filter. Try that. 12 dB octave, 12 dB slope. Take the gain level up now. Elevates that slope on the JBL. Might be partly a slope, partly on the JBL. And I'll just pause it there, turn it off there. And get that pink noise. So partly it might be. It is a little bit. It is actually, you know, rolling off a little bit. That looks okay, but that's only measured up there. That's why next I need a second microphone that's placed back here, and I've got to adjust the level and everything else, and then I'd have to make some more readjustment because of the distance, and some frequencies are fade off a little bit, and they need to be adjusted. Particularly all the rest of the range going from, say, maybe 8 kilohertz going downward needs to be sloped off a little bit specifically. Otherwise it just sound too audible. It's there, you know, and those high frequencies there will be very distant. They'll be frequency masked occasionally because of the other sounds modulating, and they'll just go be, you know, it'd be like there, and that other sound is there. Okay, that other sound in high frequency is there, and that other sound is there. So you've got one sound that's that size and one sound that's that size. It's going to mask. You know, with that that group that was what, cinema audio engineering. Oh crikey, they couldn't even explain practicalities too much. Bloody hell, just 4 guys on screen, boxes, rambling and talking about objectiveness and no bullshit, and then start talking about fancy sport cars and luxury. That's when you stop the video, you know, because these people are only aiming for rich people or or a lot of money, and will buy a Trinov or whatever, this, that, and have a luxury home cinema put in their room, really, and at the stupid price that they paid. And when you look at it, you think, blimey, this sort of money, that's what you'd pay for a kitchen. It's just a home cinema, for Christ's sake, with a bit of fancy aesthetics. Anyway, some people are not really clued up, so they think they go to the experts, and those experts are not really experts. They're just shills. I tell you, the home cinema market today, I think, is a shameful disgrace. People think cinema and home cinema, two things there, is a luxury. It isn't. You go to a cinema today, it sounds like the 1970s all over again. There's no THX sound system. I haven't been to a decent cinema since the 1980s, which went into the early 90s, and that was whether Empire Leicester Square or the CIC at UCI High Wycombe. I haven't been to a decent cinema since then. Everything else is woke now. It's like, where's this going? You know? It's like, wow, Thomas and Holman, THX, all that has been in vain. But that went derailed after they started doing VHS bloody pan and scan THX certification. That went a little bit too, you know. Next would have, is Coca-Cola THX approved. You know, it's like the ingredients, you know. You take too many of the ingredients out of that and it's not going to taste like Coca-Cola. It's just going to taste like distilled water. Oh yeah, is it distilled? Well, I'll put my TDS reader in there to see whether it is. I'll tell you, put a TDS reader in that and it goes in the red. So I don't think they've made a distilled Coca-Cola yet that reads in the green. Unless I put it through a filtering and then I test it and then I think, oh, okay, that's good. Maybe too much green is not too good. It would sum up, or too much red, it would be like, whoa. It's like, yeah, the ingredients, you put too much in, too much ingredients, and you notice that ingredient is like that size, you know, and all the other ingredients are like insignificant. They're out there in the dish, and it's just like you don't notice it too much. You know, you put too much chili powder in this. You've ruined it. Or it'd be like me. One time I put too much gravy stock into my slow cook. I piled it up like it looked like a bloody miniature prop for a bloody mountain, for a volcano, and surrounded by lava, and it tasted dreadful. Just the same as EQing and how much the ear can hear in frequency, and a lot more besides that. Actually, that's Pepsi in there. Pepsi's down to, I think it's 190 at the moment. I think it's about 190, I think. Diet Coke was about 190 or so last week. So between the two brands, they're up and down, yeah. So when the Diet Pepsi goes back up in price, I'll go back to Diet Coke. But with regards to looking at that frequency there, most will say, wow, that looks pretty good. Well, it's going closer. So zooming closer. That's not large, it's just zooming in closer. So I'm now within tolerances of plus or minus 1 dB steps. So plus or minus 1 dB. So this frequency band here is a little bit too high. Needs to be adjusted. And to adjust, go in a little bit closer, I think. I don't know if it really shows on that. No. I'm going to change the width and make it, you know, blah, blah, that. And zoom out. And zooming out is a bit like astronomy. You see so much or so little. The web may see a little bit better by just tiny percentage, really. You know, it's only a little distance past the moon. You know, the moon is there, the Earth is here, the moon is here, and the web is there, and the Hubble is near in Earth orbit, low Earth orbit, and so even though it's still good, it still sees better, a whole lot better than we do with our telescopes, because it hasn't got the interference of the atmosphere, which is like when you look at noise, signal noise, it's like the capacitor. You see, a capacitor is generating a noise field. You get filtering, you get people with a filter, and all this goes back. You know, you think of all this equipment, hi-fi speakers, blah blah blah. Most of this goes back to technologies to, like, say, astronomy or radio astronomies or such, and certain people working out filterings and so forth, and you know, to improve the state of the science. But if I zoom this up to, even though I can see in between here, you know, I'm going down. I'm looking at 10 dB here, 10 dB step. I can still, well, look at these. Some of that frequency range needs to be adjusted, and you know, like 5 kilohertz up here, you know, that frequency could be heard very easy. It needs to be adjusted. Everything needs to be get flat, and then I'll customize it with a slope that goes up at a certain range. It starts at a certain rate and starts the slope. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear the high frequencies. You got to have amplifiers to handle it. You got to make sure the speaker can handle it, because the speaker might start overloading the specific, because the sound is moving very fast rather than very slow. On lower frequencies, it's moving slower. And then you go a bit faster up on the frequency, and it's going a lot. You know, that diaphragm's moving ridiculously fast, and it might start to, you know. So you got to find something that can handle and generate also sine wave tone. And can you see a? Let's see. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Good or bad? Okay, let's get this out of the way. Just scroll it down a little bit. So there's a sine wave tone there. Of course, it needs to be amplified a little bit because it's low on the fader, and amplification and a little bit more. But that's a sine wave, 12,500. I can see a few harmonics appearing. Some are appearing in front and some are reversed. So there's something going on there. I have something, so I'll just move that. So you got to have something to generate the tone through the, you know, it's got to, you know, come out as possibly best as it can be, you know, without any other tones, harmonics. Otherwise, those harmonics are audible. And you think, why am I hearing a tone that sounds like it's in reverse? I can hear it at like maybe 8 or 7, maybe 6 kilohertz. And it's generating at a fundamental, because what I was generating there, 12,500, was fundamental frequency. But you might get some others that are like phantoming. It's also a familiar, similar sort of thing, like you broadcast on the CB radio fundamentally on a channel or frequency, and someone can hear you on another channel, and they're just waiting, and then they hear the voice again. I think, strange. I can't hear the other station. It's the typical thing with radio. Sometimes you can hear one station, you can't hear the other. But this one looks fairly local by the signal strength. Yeah, listen to it again. What's going on? And then you start flicking through the channels. It's a phenomenon. It's like, I think it's like called like a phantom signal, where it very rarely happens, and someone will hear you talking on one channel, maybe sometimes two, and you got to flick through the chat until you find where they are actually at, and then you can hear the other station, which is pretty near, also nearby. It's a strange phenomenon, and it's a bit like this. Sometimes you see some strange things, and you kind of like, you think you need better hi-fi, better quality, better cable, and all this bullshit. All I need is maybe change the diaphragms, different grade diaphragms, amplifiers, so forth. You know, because I will check the sine wave tone on the amplifier. If I can't see any harmonics there, then I know the harmonic, or what I was seeing, is getting generated oddly by the speaker.